Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to our second From Women's Insight panel. I'm so excited to have you all here. Today's topic is My Child Needs 100%. What about me? So I'm going to start off by introducing myself. My name is Rena Reiser, and I facilitate embodied dance sessions and mind-body focusing sessions to help women tune into their inner wisdom and really create lasting change in really unbelievable ways and create space inside of ourselves for Hashem Shefa to flow into our lives. So we're going to introduce everybody in just a moment. I just like to start off every one of these sessions with a moment to check in with ourselves and just see what's going on inside around our theme and around what we're going to be doing today. So I invite you just to take a deep breath in and out. You can keep your eyes open or close them, whatever you prefer, whatever is better for you. And just think about what it's like to be a mother, what it's like to be raising children right now in your life. And see if there's a word, some sort of clarity that you would like to walk away with from today, an intention that you want to set for yourself. And see what comes up for you. And let it kind of wash all over you and through you. And bring yourselves back slowly into our joint space here. And welcome everybody. So I want to tell you how it's going to work. So we have 3 panelists here, and I'd like each of you to introduce yourselves. Because we have a time limit here, my job here is to keep time. So I'm going to ask you to introduce yourselves and give you a minute to introduce yourself. And when your time's up, I'm going to say time with my capital T here. And then we're going to go into the questions. And I like to kind of round robin the questions, each person we'll start with a different person each time. And then I'll tell you how much time you have to answer each question, and then we'll move onto the next one. Sounds good? Okay, great. So who's going to start us off and introduce herself?
I'll go for it.
Great.
I am Jodi Freed. I'm an empowerment coach for women, especially for Jewish moms, and a podcaster on the Two Mom Life podcast. And my goal, my mission, my vision is to just make life a little bit easier for us Jewish moms doing everything with so much on our plates. And it's not always easy. But life's a journey, and there are simple things that we can do to make life just a little easier. So that's a bit about me. I have 4 kids and live in Portland, Oregon.
Okay, thank you, Jodi. Who's next?
Okay, I'll go next. Hi, my name is Sara Shaindel Goldwasser. I live in Thornhill, just north of Toronto, actually around the corner from the house that Rena grew up in. We were in high school together a few moons ago. I founded a business called Awakening Greatness, which was the result of my never-ending journey, a journey that I'm still on, to raise myself as I raise my children. I found that when I was going through I have 6 children, ages 18 to 8. And as I started my journey, things weren't exactly going according to my pre-written script. And a lot of things that I was learning was making the situation worse because we have high intensity in our home. And I found this amazing, kind of nevuah came to me of all different things that I put together that I started dubbing myself the Challenging Child Happy Home Guru.
Thank you. All right. Hi, Breindy.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So I'm Chaya Breindy Kenigsberg, and I live in Staten Island. And I actually do come with a lot of background in the chinuch world. And I've found myself being in a position as principal and also program director of a school for girls with learning disabilities and teacher coach and so on and so forth over the years, being in a position of giving parents advice. And when I took a look at that, I realized that I was no chinuch expert. I was just as much in the trenches and in the journey as every single mother I encountered. And the biggest expert on the child's chinuch was the mother herself. And that shifted my perspective from being chinuch expert to being there to just help parents uncover the incredible wisdom that is in them. And that has been the most beautiful journey ever. So that's where I stand.
Amazing. All right. Thank you so much, ladies, for introducing yourselves. So as you can see, we have a variety of different perspectives coming here together today to hopefully give you some tools, some insights, some aha moments that will help you, ladies, on your journey here. So I'm going to start off with the first question. Let me open it up. All right. So, all right. I'm going to read the first question. Let me tell you who I'd like to start off with, and then we'll take it from there. So let's do Sara Shaindel first, then Jodi, then Chaya Breindy, and then next time we'll start with Jodi. We'll keep going in a circle like that. And because it's the first question, I think it tends to have, just to start us off, you're going to have 5 minutes, and then in future questions, you're going to have less time to answer. So I'll give you 5 minutes each to answer this question. All right, so here's the question. My child struggles with aggression and dysregulation. Sometimes I literally feel like I'm in a battlefield. And after an hour and a half of dealing with a total explosion and trying to keep him, me, and my other kids safe, I'm totally wiped. Often I end up in tears from sheer despair and feeling so bashed. What advice do you have to stay calm in those moments without it wiping your energy? How do you replenish your resources afterwards? How can you bounce back into real life after episodes like that?
Okay, so there's like 15 questions there. I'm not sure if I'll remember all of them, but I think I got the gist of it. So first of all, I'm giving you my absolute empathy because I know exactly where you're coming from. And I've had and sometimes continue to have moments like that. And sometimes those moments, even if they're just a few minutes, could feel like a lifetime. And I hold that with compassion and support. So what I find our dynamic usually is that we go to a place where we want to fix what's wrong. And from my understanding, acting proactively instead of reactively just puts you in a much more empowered place. And I have like a variety of tools. I'll share a couple of them of how to be proactive. And even when you're proactive, it doesn't mean these tantrums and flare-ups won't happen. It will lessen the intensity and the frequency of these flare-ups. So the first thing is to notice your child when they walk through the front door of your house, or if it's a Sunday and they're home all day, go into their space and say their name. See, children get this impression that we connect with them and notice them and show up in a big way when they act out. So if we want to flip that dynamic, we want to really show up for them during regular moments, quote unquote regular, when no one's misbehaving. So the child comes through the door, you say their name, honey, hi, you're home. And then you could stop what you're doing even for a minute and just stand near them. Even if you don't want to say, how was your day? Because you know they're going to say fine and you don't want to get into a power struggle. Being in their space and saying their name and looking at them already connects you. That's one way of being proactive. Another way is when a whole 5 minutes passed by and there was no tantruming, to actually appreciate that there was no tantrum. We have the mindset that kids should behave and kids should do what needs to be done and should. And I actually say, let's take this word should and throw it out the window, because if it should be that way, it would be that way. This is the reality that's in front of us. And what do we want to do? Forget about what we should do. What do we want to do? What do we want to do? So I want to notice a child who didn't have a tantrum for a whole 5 minutes or a whole morning of breakfast. And I want to notice that then when they didn't. So you could say something like, and always say their name when you're recognizing them. People like their name. Yeah, I like when I hear Sara Shaindel, Sara Shaindel, Sara Shaindel. People like their name. So you tell the child so-and-so, and any tiny thing that could have set off a tantrum is a reason to be recognized. So, you know, we only had your second favorite cereal for breakfast, not your first favorite. And here you are. Self-control, you're showing self-control. And I understand that this advice that I'm giving is proactive. So Lamaisa, let's say you are already in this moment and this tantrum happened and you are feeling wiped, and your child's feeling wiped, and you're feeling like a failure, and you want to bounce back, as you said. Am I catching the questions, Rena? Yeah?
You want to replenish your resources afterwards.
You want to replenish your resources after. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So the first thing is to just validate yourself for a moment and understand that even if you were wiped and this and that and whatever went on, you're not a bad mother because of it. You see, we attach success to an outcome. We attach success to the way somebody else behaves as a result of what we did. But that's not success because we only have control over ourselves. We don't have control over other people. So validate yourself that, yeah, that was a really serious challenge that just went on there. And that's okay because now it's over. And now we could all breathe. So I have a variety of ways of bouncing back, as this lady's asking. The first thing is to breathe. Literally, breathing puts the oxygen in your body in the place you want it to be, and the parts of your brain that are not fight, flight, and freeze. So you take 4 to 6 big, deep, intentional breaths, and like picture the oxygen going to the front of your brain. That's where your executive functioning is. And that'll already take off the bite. So long as you're doing it with the intention to bounce back. If you need to go to your room for a minute and say, you know what, I don't want to say anything I'm going to regret. I'm really angry right now. So I need to go take a time out myself so I don't hurt anybody while I get myself back to equilibrium. If that's an option, you don't have a bunch of little kids around, you could do that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And we're going to go, thank you for that. I'm sure you're going to add more with subsequent questions. As I said, the first one tends to bring up a lot of stuff, but there's going to be more that will come out later. So we'll get to hear more of your wisdom. All right, Jodi.
Okay. What a great question. And thank you, Rena.
Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I posted it in the chat so that it's easier if anybody wants to look back at it and also for people listening. So go ahead.
I was just going to thank you for that. So that's perfect. So I'm going to dive right into a few strategies. And Sara, Shaindel, I think you hit it, straight the nail on the head about breath and breathing. And that is, I think, the number one tool that we so often overlook, but that actually can make a world of a difference. And so whenever I face a situation like this, and I work with my clients on this too, is just to practice breathing. And so I recommend practicing it in the moments that, there's not a big explosion and blow up in your house. But even when there is, just like grounding in. So standing up or sitting down and putting your feet flat on the floor. I love to put a hand on my heart. That's just an amazing reminder that you are a miracle. Like, you are a miracle and you are here for a reason. And Hashem put you on this planet with these children who are yours, in your home or wherever you are, like in this moment. And I think just putting a hand on your heart and feeling that beat as you breathe in through your nose to really enable that oxygen flow and out through your mouth, it really is very grounding. And again, a great reminder of the miracle that we are, the miracle that our kids are. And it's sometimes easy to overlook all of that in these like crazy, crazy moments. So that's one tip that I have. Again, like just as Sara Shaindel said. In terms of staying calm in those moments, it's great to think that we can, and it's not always feasible. And so I think one thing is just to give yourself permission not to always be calm. It's really simple, but like we do beat up on ourselves, and being calm in those moments is something to work towards. And it's definitely something that you can achieve, and also recognize that that's not going to happen 100% of the time. It, you know, it might happen 50% of the time. So just kind of getting to a place where you can be okay with it happening maybe 80% of the time, but not 100%. And to stay calm in those moments, I think a lot of it is about understanding yourself, understanding your child, understanding the situation, and practice, you know, giving yourself those tools of like breathing, of taking even a minute when your child is having a little bit of a blowout, just taking a minute to ask yourself a quick question of like, okay, what is, you know, what's the real thing that my kid is asking? What is at the root of their blow up right now? What do they really need right now? Do they need a hug from you? Do they just need a show of love? Do they need that kiss? Are they really frustrated with something that's going on at school of like not understanding the math concepts, right? So just like taking a second to not to respond right away, but give yourself a few seconds to just like take a breath and think and then respond. And even 10 seconds again can make a huge difference. And when you do that on a consistent basis, you know, then that's great. And then to replenish yourself afterwards, I think that's always a challenge. And that's where sometimes we need to go into a different room and just, or like even go to the bathroom, like sit in the bathroom for 2 minutes, you know, away from the kids, make sure the kids are safe, that they don't have, you know, there are no knives on the counter that they could get a hold of and do something unsafe, but give yourself a little bit of time and space and know that that's okay. You know that that's okay to set yourself apart. And I think there's some proactive things that we can do along those lines as well, like building yourself up through telling yourself affirmations. So like identifying kind of the negative self-talk that you might have, or like what usually comes up when this type of situation arises. What are usually the things that you're telling yourself? Are you telling yourself, I'm not a good mom? Are you telling yourself, this child doesn't deserve me? Like, what are those things that you're telling yourself that really are not serving you and they're really not serving your child? And then we want to work on flipping them around. So like flipping them into a positive affirmation. I am a confident mom.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Great.
Thank you. Excellent. Hi, Breindy.
Okay, firstly, thank you, ladies, for all that wisdom. I'm humbled here. I'm just going to say a little tefillah that Hashem should just put the right words in my mouth and help all of you amazing, incredible participants who are taking the time out of your day to find and explore how you can grow for the sake of your children and your family, that you should just find my words and all of our words empowering and affirming and helpful. So I think that Jodi and Sara Shaindel both presented such beautiful things, and this question is a huge question. So just trying to think a second where to dip in, and maybe I'll just start off with where Jodi finished. So so firstly, in terms of affirmation, I want to just affirm this parent, and I believe many of us, and probably a lot of us that are on this call because we resonated with this topic, have a child who to a certain extent looks like the picture presented in the question. And the challenge is great. It's a big challenge. I've been there, I am there, and you know, Sara Shaindel said she's there, and anybody who could talk about this topic knows what it feels like. And it is a struggle. It is depleting. It's difficult, and intense emotions are one of the reasons intense emotions are so difficult is because they awaken the same emotions inside of us. That's the nature of emotion. So a child with that amount of intensity is almost kind of like putting us through that similar intensity. So we're actually going through something really, really big. And again, taking off from where Jodi ended off, and Sara Shaindel mentioned this also, when it comes to parenting our children, there's a lot of expectations and self-judgment that come up inside of us. We think we should be the perfect parent. We think we should stay calm in a situation that is so intense. We think we should stay patient. If we didn't, so there's the before, how we're seeing ourselves as a parent, and we can easily, in a situation like this, feel like a big failure. We're not meeting our expectations. We're not meeting the teacher's expectations. We're not meeting the principal's expectations. We're not meeting the chinuch expert's expectations. We can get on a parenting call and we're doing it all wrong, And so it's like there's a whole host of negative messages bombarding us from outside, from inside. And really all we want to do is do it right. Like we really want to do it right. We want to be there for our children. And it's like, and then we're not meeting our own expectations either. So in terms of that, and in terms of all those negative messages that come at us, Jodi was talking a little bit about the flip, and maybe I would just deepen it a little bit. One of the reasons I think that we are so hard on ourselves near parenting, right? If we can say parenting a child is a challenge, and especially a child like this, just like, a blind person per se, let's say, has his challenge, chas v'shalom, or her challenge, then, a blind person wouldn't be judged for stumbling and falling, right? I mean, that's part of the challenge, unfortunately. So as a parent, when we stumble, and when we're faced with that rock in front of us, there's a lot of judgment all over. So I think we don't often take that time to admit to ourselves, yes, this is a challenge. And then if we can even just look at that, maybe we can pull up, and each person has, gone through different challenges in life and pulled up perspectives. So I would put it out to you, mothers. What are perspectives that you have about challenges? I know in the coaching school that I trained with, Rivka Malka Perlman says, every challenge is a healing opportunity. So here is a child who is a challenge and is giving you a healing opportunity. You might have come up with the fact that every challenge is a gift. Every challenge is a moment to connect to Hashem. Whatever it is that works for you, that possibly could be your first mantra, even if there's a mantra for yourself, even before thinking about mantras for yourself, shifting it from, this is an expectation on me, this is something that I should be doing, this is something that, okay, so this is like a teeny tip in the iceberg, but we're just gonna end off here. So just to finish the sentence, this is a should on me, and this is an expectation on me. This is a challenge, just like many other challenges in my life. And yes, I want to do it right, and yes, I want to do the challenge well. But what do I know about challenges that I can bring to help my perspective on this just shift a little bit?
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna put the next one in the chat and then read it out loud. And we'll start with Jodi, hi Breindy, and then Sara Shaindel. Okay, I've been doing a lot of inner work and still have a long way to go. I know that my kids need me a lot more than I'm currently giving of myself to them, but I have a hard time putting my stuff, quote unquote, on hold in order to fully give to them. I have this fantasy wish of being able to fix all my stuff and then come back to my family fully. Maybe a time machine so they don't need to wait.
This is such a good question.
Oh my gosh, talk about what Chaya Breindy was saying earlier about just this being a shared experience. Like I think so many of us, myself included, can resonate with this. And I'm so curious. I have a lot of questions about tell me more about what is this stuff and what what is that stuff and why do you feel like you're not really there for them when they need it, as they need it. But again, like I think this is just part of being a mom and part of being a Frum Jewish mom, which does differ and does require different things of us than some others. So let me just look this over. I'm giving myself to them, but I'm having a hard time putting my stuff on hold. Yeah, to fully give to them. So you're not alone, right? You're not alone. Give yourself permission. Give yourself permission to be you. And I think my sense is, without knowing more, is that, a lot of this could be stemming from like just inner stuff, confidence, self-worth. Am I enough? And I think that it's a challenge on all of us to strengthen ourselves. And when we do the work, when we can strengthen our inner core, it really does serve our children, serve our spouses, serve our communities, and really serve the world. So I think like life is a journey. And in a certain sense, this feeling is probably not going to end, because even when you do get to the point of giving yourself a little bit more to your kids, to your family when they need you, being like a little more full in that way, in the sense of like kind of what's on your mind and your goal right now. When you get there, and you might get there, there's going to be more. There's going to be something else, and you're still going to have a little bit of a feeling that like I'm not fully there for them, right? They need me more. And that's a little bit of a pessimistic view in a certain way. And it's also like realistic. And I think it's important to kind of come to terms with that, not in a way of pessimism, but just it can kind of be exciting. Like there is always something to strive for, more to learn, a better person to become, to grow into, right? Like we're always on a journey in Judaism. There's always, a more enlightened way, a different way to be. And so I think the same is true with my family. So with our families. So you're not going to fix all your stuff, but you can start. And the way to do that is to really identify some tools in your treasure chest and build yourself up with them. So, one tool that I was mentioning a little bit earlier that relates here as well is affirmations. Like build yourself up by telling yourself you are the person who you want to be, right? I am a confident mother. Even if you feel not so confident inside, you can really embody that, and you can step into yourself by simply telling yourself, right? Think about like little habits or teeny tiny things, right, that you can do. So it's like, in a given moment, like when my kid comes home from school, like you get to make a decision. Do I respond to that email, right? Or do I take a minute to say my child's name and greet them as they come in the door, right? And something as simple as that can make a huge difference. Sometimes it's the little things that really build us up and build up our family. So like even something as trivial as like holding your 4-year-old's hand as you walk down the steps with her, right after she gets dressed and ready for the day. It's like being intentional about that. It trickles down. It's like that can be felt. So be intentional about sometimes some of these little things that might seem just so trivial and like they don't matter at all, but actually they make a huge difference, especially when you make a practice of it day after day after day after day.
We're out of time, so thank you. That was great. Okay. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Okay, Breindy.
Okay, thank you, Jodi. And this is like another huge question. And if you're okay with it, I just want to put out there that if anyone who's listening feels like they really resonate with that question, because these questions are so spot on and the 5 minutes didn't cover it, that, I for sure would be happy to extend that time to any participant privately. So you can, reach out to Rena to get my contact info. Okay, so firstly, if you've been nodding, if you as a mother or any listener has been nodding to this question, I want to give you a thumbs up for all that inner work that you've been doing. That's number one. And I hope that you can too. And I hope that you can look back and see how far you've already come. Because, you know, I wouldn't say that the entire world is open to doing inner work. So if you have, that is incredible. Um, so that's number one. And you know, hold the way, holding the long way you've already come, and being able to look back at that, that itself is in a sense a resolution to the question. But I'm not going to elaborate on that. You can think about that a little bit. So I'm looking at the next sentence because that was the first sentence. Yes, yes. When we see how far we've come, the long way to go, there's lots that comes in near that. There's hope, and there is faith, and there's trust, and there's knowledge, and there's our own strengths that have. Okay, I said I wasn't going to go in there. Okay, next sentence. So I know that my kids need me a lot more than I'm currently giving of myself to them, but I have a hard time putting myself on hold in order to fully give to them. Yeah. Okay. So the last sentence first. The fantasy to put everything on hold and to go forward is, yeah, the human experience. And I actually know people who have had traumatic experiences and who have had to do have had to kind of put life on hold and take time out, whether it was, you know, in-house therapy and so on and so forth. And if a person is actually up to that level, then that is realistic. There are you know, if the actual day-to-day functioning is that impeded, then there are ways to take some time out and actually go get therapy. So if anybody is in that space near this question, there are options. But for those of us who just kind of wish that we can, you know, put everything on hold and come back to our children fully formed, what is that really for you know, what is that really? That's a desire for perfection. That's kind of like, gosh, I wish I can be the perfect parent. so yeah, I mean, that's also universal. We wish for perfection. But framed that way, again, framed as a desire for being a perfect parent, and yeah, it's coming from a beautiful place. It's coming from and it's coming from a really, really deep down, empathetic, giving, incredible mom space. But framed as and whenever we have something that we want, like perfection, which we know we can't achieve perfection down here, otherwise we wouldn't be here. There's also the true desires that are propelling us as well. So I just want to honor that. Yes, this is coming from a compassionate, gentle, caring, devoted, deeply devoted space. And that is why I love coaching parents, because they are here from the most beautiful, feminine, incredible, generous, giving space in the world. But when we look at it as a desire for perfection, wanting to parent our children from our own perfect space, then there's again a little bit of a shift that happens inside of us. What do you do when you want to show up perfectly to your job? What do you do when you want to show up perfectly to your mother-in-law? You know, what do you do when you want to show up perfectly in your marriage? We know perfection is unattainable. There's never going to be perfection. It's, you know, life is a messy struggle, and same with our children. And just the opposite. The only perfection that there really is the perfection in the plan that Hashem made it right now. That is the perfection. Me in my imperfect state here, parenting my children in their imperfect state, that is actually the perfect picture. So I'm not giving you really an answer here, but I am offering a little mind shift and a question to you. How do you deal with your desire for perfection in other areas? And how could you bring it in here as well, while still validating that desire for perfection is not just egotistical, it is also something very pure and precious, because you are a caring, compassionate, deeply devoted mom who wants the best for her children.
Thank you. Perfect timing. All right, Sara, Shaindel.
Okay, so I'm going to give like a double-sided perspective here. I'm not usually Mrs. Practical, for anyone who knows me. I'm going to give very practical and then a perspective. And I hope the two of those together added on to Jodi and Breindy's inspiration. I wish I had a notebook. Like, I'm going to listen to this and take notes on what they said. It's so profound. I trust it will serve you well. So I actually just learned this like a month and a half ago, and I started doing it, and it really, really works. Don't make a list of things to do for your day. Make time blocks. Okay, this is super practical. I literally hired a coach to teach me how to do this because I'm super thought process type, not practical type. It's amazing. So instead of having a list of 100 things that I need to do, I write down from this time to this time, this is the job I'm doing. So if I'm answering emails from 10 to 11 in the morning, even if they're not all answered, I'm stopping at 11. So make time blocks that you're fully connecting to your children, knowing that later that day or sometime tomorrow, you will get back to your emails or you will get back to your inner work and stuff, as you call it, which again, I'm not sure what it is. I wish I could have like a 5-minute conversation with whoever asked that question to just get a broader picture. But I understand you, and I so empathize with you because I signed up for 7 courses this year. One was $10,000. I kid you not. And I had to request a refund because I had that same desire to do all my inner work and arrive. And I saw another course that was only $200. I wanted to buy it. And I said, no, I cannot do any more inner work this year. So I get you. I really get you. And that's just totally practical. Try it and see what happens. It's amazing. Somehow that email could wait till tomorrow. Somehow all your inner work doesn't need to be done in a day. And like Jodi and Chaya Breindy said, you're never going to be finished your inner work. As soon as you think you're done, Hashem's going to throw you another curveball. So like that's from the practical, very practical. Get a journal or a Google Doc or whatever way you work. Time block your day, and when you know you're connecting with your children, your inner work goes on hold. That's just practical. Now, perspective. Ask yourself a question. How is me not being there 100% for my children, get this, serving them well? How is the fact that I cannot be 100% of them? Because even if you do a time block, maybe there's inner work lingering in your heart and you don't want to shelve it 100%. Maybe you could shelve it 80%, but 20% of you is not present with your children because you're thinking about your phone call with your coach or a blow up that you had with someone that revealed something about you to yourself. And now you need to go back and, take responsibility for what you did. How is it serving your children well? I'll give you a few examples. How's that? Just to get your creative juices flowing. And then on your own time, you could ask yourself the same question. How about if you showed up for your children 100% of yourself 100% of the time, which is not possible, but let's say you could. What kind of pressure are they putting on themselves for when they become a mother? And what happens when somebody's talking to them that's not you and they're only listening 70% and not 100%? It would give them a black and white attitude to life. You don't want that. Life has so many colors and excitement. And if someone's talking to them and having a conversation and they're only 70% present, they'll enjoy it. Whereas if you give them quote unquote 100% of your energy and presence when you talk to them, they will not appreciate it. They will think everything else in life that's less than that is lacking. And now they're going to enjoy so many different conversations that they're going to have with people forever. It might inspire them to explore their own inner work as an adult. So when you see that there's benefits, which are actually exactly balanced to the drawbacks, with any situation that comes up, like I feel like whoever asked this question is thinking it's a bad thing that I'm not 100% present when I talk to my children because my inner work is getting in the way. When you see that the drawback of your not being 100% there is not any bigger than the benefit of you not being 100% there, you let loose and you surrender and you relax into the moment.
Okay, thank you so much. Okay, so now we're going to start with Chaya Breindy. So let me post the question. Okay, there are certain of my kids whose demands feel like they are sapping all my energy. Like one request feels like I'm being bullied. How can I translate their requests as full blown I need this now demands? How can I not translate their requests as full blown I need this now demands?
Well, okay, like all of your questions, I wish I had this woman sitting here, you know? Well, okay. And I wish I can ask her just, a little bit about what's going on for her and what's coming up for her and, so on and so forth. Because sometimes it's so much about the dynamic between the mother and the specific child, Okay, so I'm just rereading the question a minute because I'm the first here. The other two I had a chance to kind of like let it sink in a little. There are certain of my kids whose demands feel like they're zapping all my energy. Okay, like the one that feels like one request feels like I'm being bullied. How can I not translate their requests as full-blown I need this now demands? Okay, yeah, so there are definitely kids who, for any kind of mother, requests that they put out there feel very needy, really, just needy. They're kind of, they're just some kids that have a way of just almost attracting what they want in life, just like by their very existence. And then there are some kids that it's almost as if their essence is like saying, no, I'm not going to get it. And I'm not going to get what I need. And then there's this defensiveness that comes up before anything ever happened. And somebody's defense is we view someone else's defensiveness as an offense, meaning when someone else is kind of protecting themselves and they give us a defensive comment, to us it feels like an arrow shooting on us. Hence I think that bullied feeling. It's like, oh my gosh, what did I do? I didn't even say no yet, so and the kid's already at like level 10, and it possibly this is related to the emotionally dysregulated kid who doesn't have a good scale of going from 1 to 10 and all the levels in between. So there is that feeling that comes off to the mother, and yes, someone else's defense comes off to us as an offense, and it just automatically gets a defensive response back. So from us, that's the automatic feeling. It's like someone else's like lower brain will awaken our own lower brain. Someone else's fight or flight will awaken our fight or flight. These are different ways you can look at it, whichever modality you're familiar with. So so how do I not translate the request as full-blown I need this now demands? So what I like about this question is there's a very specific there's a specific scenario over here, which is nice. Like whenever we're kind of looking to deal with a specific scenario, there is an awareness of what's going on here between me and my child. So it's easier to create a little shift inside of us. I also like the way all of these questions are pretty mother focused, which is also nice. I like that she's not asking how can I get my child to be more emotionally regulated. It's just a discussion for a different time, but she's looking at herself and her own reactions. And related to the previous question, it's an interesting segue because from one question to the next, because it's kind of opening up the reality that parenting interactions are actually opportunities for our own inner work. And asking how can I not translate this request as a full-blown I need this now demand is, yeah, it's the parent saying, oh wow, I see this as an invitation to go inside and to reshift myself a little bit. Now, I would just steer clear of I should, meaning whenever you're getting to should, you're getting to the perfection again and you're getting to the self-judgment. So it's not like I should be showing up in a different way. I see an opportunity here to show up in a different way, or I want to show up in a different way. Those are softer and more goal-oriented and more growth-oriented types of ways of looking at it, and down to a very superficial, practical idea. In a sense, the question answers it, but there are many deeper opportunities to look at what's going on. And
we're at time. Sorry.
Okay. We'll let
continue.
everyone else get practical. Go.
Thank you. Sarah Shaindel.
Okay, I lost track whose turn it was. Okay, this is such an awesome question because it happens all the time where a child asks for something and you feel like they want you to drop everything and run like Magain David Adom needs to come because, something came up that they want right now. So yeah, I get that. I learned this very powerful 2-word phrase that I got very good at saying. It's called I can't. And the trick to making I can't actually be effective is that you're very, very calm while you're saying it. And your body language is calm, and your eyes are calm, and your face is calm, and you're not like wagging your head or your finger or like crossing your arms. It's, they ask you, I'm so hot, get me water and ice from the fridge now. But you can't because you're feeding your baby on the couch or whatever else is going on, and you say, I can't. Boring. And that usually diffuses the energy right there, so long as your energy is calm. If your energy is not calm, take a few deep breaths and then say, I can't. Now, that's not going to necessarily make them stop demanding what they want. They could still go on demanding. So, but I love, if you have a child who, first of all, they're not sapping you all the time of your energy. There's moments that they're sapping you of your energy. So the time that they're not sapping you of your energy is a great time to notice them. Chayam, I just served supper for 20 minutes and you were independent and took care of what you needed on your own. You did not make demanding requests. What a pleasant atmosphere. Come, I want to be near you. You're fun company. That's like, a proactive way of connecting with the child when they're not sapping all your energy. I also feel like if this child puts you into like chronic emergency mode, which I'm sensing a little from this question, then nothing's an emergency. Meaning, even Magain David Adom, the people take shifts. Nobody's there 24/7. They are open 24/7, but the people go to sleep. Otherwise, they're not doing anything. So if you feel like every single moment of every day this child is putting you into fight, flight, and freeze, then nothing's an emergency anymore. So go for your walk, even though even though something terrible might happen, which it probably won't, but like, don't neglect yourself and your self-care because of a demanding child, even if it's half an hour a day that you go for a walk or 10 minutes that you meditate, or you come up with your own ways of self-caring. That basically, you don't want to lose your sense of self because of this child. So the way to not do that is to still engage in your self-care, to honor yourself and say I can't when you can't. And if you can't and you could in 5 minutes, you could say yes, in 5 minutes I could, right now I can't. Don't give excuses. Don't say like, can't you see I'm in the middle of feeding the baby? What do you expect? I should put him down. Like, you'll do it when you can, or you'll say, I just can't this time. And nobody's going to honor you more than you honor yourself. So if you think that a perfect mother is one who jumps up and gets their kid everything they want the moment they want it and doesn't wait, and like, no, then they're not going to honor you. If you honor yourself, there's sometimes I could give you your request, there's sometimes that I cannot, and then give them empathy. I wish I could, I can't. And a time that they're not demanding, you connect with them, like, here you are, you're not demanding, or you take a no well. I just, yesterday I said no about a request and you took it well. I see that you're someone who takes no's well. That'll shift the dynamic and the energy in the moment.
Okay, thank you. We're up to Jodi.
Okay. Lots of great tips and great advice from Chaya, Breindy, and Sara Shaindel. So thank you, ladies, for that. This question brought up some stuff for me because I just had an incident yesterday where we came home from school and one of my daughters, who is super strong-willed and a beautiful child, made some demands right off the bat. And it really okay, I had to take that opportunity to just deep breath and I don't have to respond. I don't have to give this child what they wanted or thought they needed right at that time. And so that was just interesting. The other thing that it brought up for me was often at bedtime, I have a couple of kids who they ask for water and then they demand water and then they are hungry and this and that. And, I remember getting to a point where I just simply said, no, no, I won't get you water. It wasn't because I couldn't, it was simply because I didn't want to be bugged at that time of night by my child, who is very capable of getting water themselves, getting water. And of course, there's the whole thing of attention, and they just do it because, they want you and whatever. But it was very interesting to see the shift that took place when I simply said and started saying consistently, if you're thirsty, you're welcome to go get water. You're welcome to go get water. And it's made the biggest difference in the way that I kind of relate to that time of night. Before, there was a little bit of anxiety built up, oh my gosh, what am I going to do when this happens? I really don't want to. And am I doing the right thing by getting them water? Am I doing the wrong thing? Right. And then it's just, if they really are thirsty, they'll go and get it themselves. And that's just kind of become the expectation and the new norm in our home and in my relationship with them. And it's been really nice, really nice for me. And I think really good for them too. So, that's just an example of a couple of things that this question brought up for me. And I think if you look at the last piece of this, how can I not translate their requests as full-blown, I need this now demands? I think you answered yourself right there. Simply don't translate their requests as full-blown, I need this now demands, right? Easier said than done. Easier said than done, but just don't. That their requests are not full-blown, I need this now demands. That. And as Sara Shaindel, pointed out, that when someone has an emergency all the time, chances are there's not an emergency. It's a little bit like the boy who cried wolf. And so, I think from a personal, just as the mom, that their requests are not full-blown, I need this now. They don't need it now, right? So act accordingly. Maybe give them some of the tools to be able to get what they need or what they think they need themselves, right? Give them, and set the expectation for yourself that it's okay, that you can give yourself permission. So often we don't give ourselves permission to do or what we need to do, or to think away that, to have a different perspective or to have a perspective, right? But give yourself permission to not give it to them right now. Give yourself permission to not react. Give yourself permission to take a few breaths before, reacting. Give yourself permission, right? So that's really what came up. Those are just, a few nuggets that really came up for me when I looked at this question.
Okay, thank you. So the next, I'm going to combine a couple questions together that are different for sure. There's definitely different nuances within each one, but I think that there's an underlying current that's kind of the same. So I'm going to combine them here, and I'm posting them into the chat. So And so I think just for the sake of time, I have this group of questions and then one more group of questions. And at 10:02, I want to do something fun or not fun. We'll see. So we have, let's see, 24 minutes. So let's say we'll do like about 12 minutes per question. So about 4 minutes each of you. Okay, question A. I myself have my own feelings of not being heard and supported by my own parents, but I literally cannot be there all the time for my own kids. What do I do with this guilt/need? Their needs versus my needs. I can't seem to find that guilt-free balance. Should I just be okay that they will also feel like their needs weren't met either, and that's just part of life? That was A. And B is my mother had a loving, humble personality, whereas my dad was a tyrant. Mom never raised her voice, nor did she hurt us verbally or physically. To my biggest surprise as a mother of 3, I often follow that father figure. My ongoing attempt to grow as a parent, I've been taking parenting courses for decades, yet I still have difficulties to parent after my heart. How do I disconnect myself from that father image, the outbursts and negativity? So, there's a lot of stuff here, but just, you'll take like what you can answer. I think we're starting with you, Sara Shaindel, right?
Oh boy, okay.
So I'll give you 4 minutes.
That is loaded, and I hold you with so much compassion because you sound like you have a lot of patterns that you want to undo, and you've been doing so much to undo them, and you have a desire to undo them. And actually, that's your first step to success, that you have this awareness that you're following this figure in your life who's repeating their patterns. You're not satisfied, you're not happy. And it's actually that longing and discontent about what's going on that fuels you to ask this question. And wow, I had to take a breath over there from reading that question. I feel that genuine desire to grow and move past it. So, there's a lot of parts to this question. 4 minutes, not going to do it. I'm gonna go with the part of the father figure and not wanting to do that. And it's very interesting because what I have similar in my life is that when I grew up, I'm a very out of the box, free spirit person. And I got in a lot of trouble at school because of it. And I promised myself that when, I would have my own children, they would never be misunderstood by their teachers or their authority figures. I was going to just get everything right and would not repeat the cycle that happened to me. And guess what? History repeated itself, only it wasn't my children's teachers who were misunderstanding them. Maybe some of them did, but it was me. I made this desire that I'm not going to misunderstand my children the way I was misunderstood, but then I went and did it again and again and again. And I also took all kinds of parenting classes, and it was like a futile fight to think that I was going to understand them as much as I tried and tried and tried. And what I found, I'm not going to say I'm 100% on the other side of it, but I would say a lot of it, I do understand my children where they're coming from, and they don't feel misunderstood by me on a regular basis anymore the way that they used to, is that I went and healed myself. You could call it inner work. I mean, there's all kinds of ways of thinking about it, but I asked that same question: how did my being misunderstood serve me well in my life? Meaning, we're holding grudges, right? I was holding grudges against, let's say, my teachers, my principals, whoever else, counselors in camp, whoever I felt misunderstood by, but I didn't realize that I was holding grudges against them. So the only way to heal yourself is to forgive them. There's so many forgiveness exercises. And what I think you need to do to your around your relationship with your father, whether or not he's actively in your life anymore, is there's still an energy of discontent that's connecting you. And I'll give you 2 ways quickly. I mean, these are like processes, but I want to give you something practical that you could do. One is to take a piece of paper and fold it in half, and on the left side of the paper, write what you're angry at your father for. So let's say on the left side of my paper, I would have written, so-and-so, you embarrassed me in front of the entire class that I got a bad mark on my test. And then on the right side, you write, and I'm willing to forgive you. And then on the left side, counselor in camp, whatever. I forgive you for yelling at me for staying up past curfew. I'm sorry, I'm angry. And then on the right side, and I'm willing to forgive you. So you might want to write to your father, you behaved in the house like an angry tyrant, and I'm willing to forgive you. You see, the way forgiveness works, it's like your hands. And if you don't forgive someone, your hands are like clenched fists. And then when
I'm so
opportunities
sorry.
come your way,
We're at time.
your hands are
I'm
busy.
sorry.
Okay.
Thanks. So we got one of those. So
Yeah.
we'll have to stay tuned for more. Jodi.
Okay, well, Sara, Shaindel, I think so much of what you said is absolute gold. Absolute gold. So ladies, just take everything you said to heart. And for whoever asked both of these questions,
It's two different people. I just
yes,
remind them. Okay.
yes, for all of you, both of you out there, like we see you, we feel you, and once again, you're not alone, right? Once again, it's this is not your isolated experience. And sometimes it helps to just know that there are people out there, there is camaraderie. Someone I would encourage you to follow if you're on social media, or just to go visit her website, is a psychologist. Her name's Dr. Robin Kozlovitz, and she focuses her work on post-traumatic parenting. So it's exactly, you know, the experience of a parent as a parent who experienced trauma as a child, because that really does impact and influence the way that we parent and our perceptions of ourselves, and so much of what we do. And I think she is a great person to just see what she does and kind of get into her world and her space. Because there is like guilt that comes up, a lot of what ifs, or how do I, right? How do I? So a few things that I think, a couple of tools that I think could be helpful to both maybe disconnect a little bit from the past, but also to reconnect with yourself and build yourself so that you can be there in the way that you want to be for your children, so that you can have those negative outbursts less, so that you can, for the most part, you know, show up as the empowered, beautiful, wonderful mother that you are. So I'll just, you know, give you a few tools and take it or leave it, you know, but I encourage you to just try. It doesn't hurt to try something, try it on for a week, for a month, see how it goes. So one of these tools is a very simple practice. Like, you'll be amazed at how simple, that can make a huge difference in the way that we perceive ourselves, and that allows us to really build. It's like a Lego, you know, you build with a couple of Legos, and before you know it, you have a tower. So, and that is what I call celebrating the little tinies. So it's really celebrating the teeny tiny little wins that you have in a day. And you can choose to specifically address the wins that happen, like in this area, right? So for example, like one little teeny tiny win could be like brushing your teeth, right? Every day. I hear so often when I bring up this example, oh my gosh, I can't believe you said that. I didn't brush my teeth yesterday because I was just so worn out. Or like, you know, I was thinking of not brushing my teeth this morning because I just couldn't, but like, then I did. And so like, something as simple as mundane as brushing your teeth is a win, right? Or can be a win for some of us. So, you know, if you look at it on a little bit of a more like emotional level, right? When you have a moment in a day that you recognized your child for something good that they did, or even where you had the urge to kind of have a little bit of an outburst and didn't, notice it, write it down.
Excellent. Thank you. Hi, Breindy. 4
Okay.
minutes.
Yeah. Okay. It's like each question needs its own panel.
For sure.
Uh, so firstly, thank you, Jodi and Sara Shaindel. Really beautiful. So in 4 minutes, pick on a thread here. So, okay, I wonder if, I believe, this is just a belief of mine, that we all come into parenting in the shadow of our own parents' parenting. It's just the natural way of things. And we kind of pick up from there, meaning our parents were our model, and we think we initially either we're not going to do it the way they did it, which Sara Shaindel said has its own gifts, or we would like to do it the way they did it, and sometimes those two mesh consciously and subconsciously. Like we think we don't want to, but we do anyway. So yeah, and yes, our parents were human. So I love Sara Shaindel's work on forgiveness. If I can, and I actually believe that what Sara Shaindel was saying about doing our own inner healing near this is essential, and this is really the key to this question. There's so much about parenting that points us toward our own inner healing, and you know that actually came up here in this panel, you know, a couple of times, and this is another arrow toward our own inner healing, and that is realizing how we're carrying from our own childhood what we don't want to carry. And you know, I'm not an inner child expert, and I know not everybody resonates with that work, but parenting our own inner child while we're parenting is a very good way of resolving those childhood wounds and being able to show up as the emerging adult that we are. A simpler way to look at it, if you want a simple way, is to just look at yourself as a person with many parts. And you're still carrying all those different parts with you. So that little child that you once were is still a part of you. You didn't leave her behind in the dust. She's still a part of you. The hurts that she experienced are still a part of you. The emerging adult that you are, the loving mother that you are is a part of you. The compassionate, caring friend you are is a part of you. The wife is a part of you. And then there's a bigger part of you that is you, your neshama. And as a child, we don't have access to and the bigness to hold all of us together. But as an adult, that is our ultimate goal, to be able to hold all of those parts of us. So addressing that inner child is a good way of holding that part of us, owning that part of us, owning her experiences, as well as what Jodi keeps saying, building that inner mother through those affirmations, through little celebrating little wins, realizing how we are an individual that is not a shadow of our parents, that is not at all a clone of our parents, looking for what we bring, and I'm talking quickly, looking because there's so little time, but this is so big, looking for what we bring to the table, building ourselves as not just a child who is, you know, in the childhood, but also as a mother and adult, and recognizing that part of us also, and being able to pull up the different pieces when the opportunity arises or when the need arises. And it is possible. It's a delicate dance. It's a graceful dance, and it takes practice, and it takes addressing and building and growing each different part consciously. And it is possible, but it is work. And it doesn't finish until we're 120.
Okay, thank you. All right. So these last questions, we kind of touched on it. I mean, we've been touching on it throughout, but I thought it would just be really great to finish off with these ones. Okay, question 1, again, from 2 different people, just combining them. How to stay calm, not reactive, in the face of a child who is reactive and triggering your own buttons. And B, this might be more of a general question, but do you have any tips for being more laid back and calm? I'm in awe of women who are so relaxed and calm, even when their house seems to be flying. Baruch Hashem, I worked on myself and my type A personality, trying to fully internalize that only Hashem is in control. I've recently been focusing on Simcha and regularly reviewing Igeras Ramban, right? Not Rambam, Ramban, Igeras Ramban, and definitely feel improvement, Baruch Hashem. I also know that there is so much bracha, and I'm definitely not complaining. But with would love to radiate a calm, cool, collected, and happy presence. Any tips and tricks or mantras would be greatly appreciated. So let's start off with Jodi, and we're going to do 10 minutes. So about 3 minutes each.
Okay. So much here. Okay. And you're in luck because I am that calm. I remember when I stepped into motherhood, like I was so surprised because I didn't feel like I was calm. I felt really high strung, but so many people said to me, Jodi, you're so calm, da, 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 da. You're so flexible, this and that. And so it really like caused me to look into that and explore that piece. So I do resonate with, kind of where you're wanting to go, where you're wanting to be, and where you are now. And I think, again, like I hear you, it's not easy. So how to stay calm and not reactive in the face of a child who's reactive and triggering your own button. So breathe, 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 breathe. Practice breath work. Do it in the moment. Do it, practice it before, even meditate. If you want some guided meditations, I can support you with that and give you some that you can listen to on repeat. Get in touch with yourself. And also understand like your buttons. I'm sure at least, some of those triggers. You can probably identify some of those triggers. So ask yourself, what are my triggers? Write them down, get them out. And then before you have that, or when your child is saying something that really pushes your button, give yourself a minute, right? Give yourself a minute before you respond. How to be more laid back and calm. So I think that, fundamentally, like this really comes down to the fact that everything is from Hashem, right? You are here, you are who you are. And that is a gift to this world. It's a gift to your family, and it really is a gift to this world. And however you are, whether you're calm or not, like it's okay, and it's who you're supposed to be. But what you can do is recognize that everything is in Hashem, and that all the tools, everything that you need to be more calm and be more laid back and project that to your family, to your children, is here for you to access and use. So again, breathe. Notice your little wins every day. Like write down 3 teeny tiny wins every single day before you go to bed or when you wake up in the morning, and you'll see that they will build on each other and lift you up. And when you feel lifted up, it'll be so much easier to be calm and kind of let things roll in your home. It really, really will make a huge difference. And then like give yourself the permission again to check out, like just let things fly and be okay with it. Set expectations for the family so that like if the living room's a mess, we're going to clean it up together, or whatever, however you want to
I had time.
do that. I'm not going to go into that right now, but then like armed with that, just you can know that there's a plan to get through, and just it takes practice. And again, happy to meet with anybody privately as well.
Thank you. Hi, Breindy.
Okay, so Jodi touched on the triggers, and I would just take a moment to stop there again. Becoming more conscious and more aware of what's going on inside of us is part of the growth process. And when there is something that is triggering you, it's a gift. It's an opportunity to look at it and work through it. And yes, some of us are given very big reactive gifts, so, and it's not easy. It's really not easy. So just affirming that again, a child who is defensive often and reactive often, it is, but yeah, to figure out exactly what is triggering inside of you is the first step. And then to give yourself the time, or to even just tell yourself, oh my gosh, that's big for me. I think part of reparenting is just saying, hi, I see this trigger. I'm gonna give you some time, like not just to suppress it because you should be calm, not to take those expectations and push away your feelings, but to actually take time to look at those things that are coming up for you. Further on in the question, yeah. So I think it's really the second questioner is awesome because her goals are very, very defined. And I'm from the people that believe that if somebody desires something that badly, they actually are that. I would venture to say, I would venture to say that this is the kind of person that possibly often does get those comments that she is calm and cool and flexible and flowing, and she may want more of it. And she may aspire for higher, but just take time to notice where you are and that you own those traits. And just by the very virtue of desiring them, they are actually something that belongs to you. And even if you don't see it in your life, just a little, paradigm shift that the desires that we have are actually kind of like signposts that Hashem put inside of us, like wise wisdom signposts that Hashem put inside of us to help us acquire that which we want, because in essence, all that's really in our control is our desires. So just by the very virtue of desiring the cool, calm, flowing, present home, you are already opening yourself as a keli, as a vessel to go in that direction. And as mothers, we push away our desires pretty quickly. So that's why I'm stopping on desires, because desires are very, very powerful. They're probably the only thing that's in our control. Just to finish the sentence, write those desires down daily and just think about them a little bit, and you will keep opening yourself more and more and more to that. So yeah.
Thank you. All right, Sara Shaindel.
Thank you. Wow. Thank you, Jodi and Breindy. That was amazing. Thank you so much. So profound and impactful. Okay, so I have this idea that we sign unwritten contracts without knowing it. For example, when I moved to Thornhill, I knew, even though my daughter was 4 when we moved here, I signed the contract that I'm going to be spending a lot of time and money so she could go to camp in the States with a different group of girls, go to her reunions. But I didn't even know when I moved here that that was a contract that I signed. I'm growing into all these different contracts that I signed that I didn't even sign. So when we have children, we are signing an unwritten contract that things are not going to go our way, and the house might be flying. And I'm actually one of those people that does not do well when my house is a big mess. And trying to change your nature doesn't work. To say, how could I be calm when I'm not calm? If a mess and tons of stuff flying around bothers you, you know, because that's part of this package that you signed for, that you don't know that you signed for, but you did, it's okay. Just let it be. Like, oh my goodness, this place is not up to my standards. That'll make you much more calm than saying, I have to be calm now. Why am I not calm? Why am I not like Mrs. Calm? I should be, I have to be, but I'm not. And instead, ask yourself, what would Mrs. Calm do in this situation? And then just mimic her. So does she walk slow? Then walk slow. Does she take nice big deep breaths? Take nice big deep breaths. Adam nifal kafi pulosa. If you start acting out who you want to be, that will become who you are. But please don't try to change your nature and start thinking that you are Mrs. Calm, because you're not. I'm not. I'm still not, and I'm okay with it. And when the mess comes up or whatever other hecticness comes up, you're okay to not be okay with it. Just act the part as if you're okay. And when it comes to the unwritten contract, you could say, well, a part of my neshama desired this experience because I signed this contract. So I wonder what part of me wanted this. I wonder what part of me wanted this. Something in me wanted this experience of this mess or whatever hecticness is going on. And breathe. And then you will, there's no way if you practice this for a month that it's not going to shift things. Not possible. Go do it and let me know what happens.
Hey, thank you so much. Thank you for all of your amazing answers and insights and wisdom. It's just so interesting and fascinating to see it from all different angles and perspectives. So we are stopping on the hour. So I want to do two more things. The first thing is I'm going to tell you the second thing first. The second thing we're going to do is I would like you to take just like half a minute to tell everybody where they can find you, but the best way to contact you if they want to take things further with you. The first thing is I'm kind of putting you on the spot here, but I think it's an important thing for us to do. As Frum Jews, we believe that our parnasa is designated for us from Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. And so what that means is that you three, who in the rest of the world, they might look at you as three competitors. As Frum Jews, we know that you are not competitors, you are partners in helping Jewish women reach their potential as women. And so what I would like you to do, we have almost just about 8 minutes left. So just take as short as you can, but I would like you to highlight, each of you highlight something about the other two speakers of why somebody should reach out to them. And I will let you, whoever wants to go first, I don't want to put you on the spot. So whoever wants to go first can go first, second, and third.
I'll go first. It's easy. This is easy for me. Okay. So Chaya Breindy, you're so calm and present in the moment. You have this like relaxing voice that every time you're talking, I feel like I'm literally in the room with you, and you're very compassionate and you get it. Like you really, really get it. And the first step to anybody, taking someone on a journey is that they understand where they're coming from. And I could totally see that you have that attribute, and it's so clear that you have so much life experience behind you and all the different roles you have. So I'm sure you could guide parents who are dealing with principals who are upset or because of all the roles that you've been through. And Jodi, you are a fun, free spirit. I love those earrings. And I'm also a free spirit, even though I don't have such fancy earrings. And, there's something very refreshing. Like you live in Portland, like any type of like out of the boxness, I'm sure we would vibe together. And, people who don't only want to do things like according to the books and, like with an open-minded view and having fun while they do it and probably going on hikes. Could I guess that you go on hikes? Then it's like fun to be in a person's presence who is that way and at the same time growth oriented, which you've shown. So I give it to both of you for those things that I noticed about you.
Thank you. Who's next?
Awesome. I'll go next. I love this. Okay, so Chaya Breindy. Also, I totally just really connected with that grounded. I think you have such a grounded presence, which can be so helpful for, moms who kind of need more of that and need to lean into that. And, you're soft spoken, but with a lot of wisdom. And so those are two beautiful aspects of who I see in you, just from this call. And Sara, Shaindel, also, I think your energy is contagious, and that's beautiful. It's great to be in, like, I get that you're like high vibe, and I think that can be really, really powerful, especially for women who are more low key and low vibe. And the other thing I love about you is that you don't hide who you are, and you don't encourage people to shrink or hide who they are. You kind of really like highlight how your weaknesses, how what you perceive as your weaknesses can be strengths. So both of you, absolutely beautiful and an honor.
Thank you.
Okay, I echo that. And Rena, this is such a beautiful idea. Thank you. So Jodi, I love your practical view on things. I just get a sense that you relate to the world in a very, very practical way, but also in a very alive and vibrant way. And that is just awesome. So to those of you who really want to cut to the chase and get very, very practical, hands-on with your children and with your life, just go for it. You have the most beautiful candidate right here. And Sara Shaindel, your energy speaks volumes. You just light up any room you're in. It's incredible. It's been such a privilege being on here with you, and you're wise. And, like Jodi said, you are who you are, and you are just sharing your light and putting it forth. And, as a mother, I think that is the precise role model that we need to accept who we are and to see our light and to be able to share it with our children. So I really think Sara Shaindel is the awesome coach to reach out to, and go do it today.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, ladies. Okay, so now I'd like you all to just go around and say where people can find you, whether a website, email address, phone number, social, whatever you would like to share.
So you
Jodi, yeah, go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So you can get in touch with me at jodi@loveadventuremom.com. Or you can find me on my podcast, which is the Two Mom Life podcast, available on my website, loveadventuremom.com, or Apple, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. I'd love to hear from you.
Is it like L'chaim, but like to mom life?
Exactly.
I just got it. Okay, just got it. All right. Really nice. Okay, thank you. Sara Shaindel.
Okay, so you could reach me, you could submit a ticket on my website at awakeninggreatness.co without an M at the end. And I have a YouTube channel. You could Google Sara Shaindel Goldwasser Awakening Greatness YouTube. You'll get a few, some of them are a little old, but still very valuable clips. Or you could shoot me an email, Sara Shaindel. You see how you spell my name there? SARASHAINDEL at awakeninggreatness.co. You could get on my email list, find out about upcoming Awakening Greatness opportunities. I'm actually speaking at the Torah Masorah Hub this Sunday night from 8:30 to 10. It's only $10 to join. It'll be laser focused on the classroom. There's always something exciting going on at Awakening Greatness. So just shoot me an email. You'll get on my list and you'll be updated.
Thank you. Hi, Breindy.
Okay, so one way to reach me, it's my email address, and you see how to spell it. It's my last name, Kenigsberg, CB, my first two initials, Kenigsberg CB@gmail.com.
Excellent. Amazing. And we even finished early. How wonderful. Okay. Thank you all so much for being here. Thank you to our panelists for sharing all their wisdom. And
Thank you, Rena.
yeah, you're welcome. And the recording will be posted hopefully in the next few days or beginning of next week. And I wish you all a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week. And I hope that you can take something with you from today that will really change your whole view, your whole perspective, and therefore your whole life will really start to shift as a result of everything you've gotten today. And feel free to follow up with any of our panelists to take this further. So
thank you, Rena.
You are welcome.
Thank you. And remember to celebrate the small shift, even if it's not the whole life.
Exactly. All right. Take care, everyone. Be well.
Bye.
Bye-bye.